They're learning to handle temple instruments, perform sacrifices, and fulfill priestly functions with a precision that would surprise even the ancient Levites. But there's a disturbing question few are asking. Are they preparing to serve the Messiah or the Antichrist? While the world debates Middle Eastern politics, something extraordinary is happening quietly in Israel. Men with proven lineage from the tribe of Levi are being trained in sacred rituals that haven't been practiced for nearly 2,000 years. This isn't just another religious curiosity. What's happening with the Levitical priests in Israel today may be one of the most significant prophetic signs of our times. If you want to understand why this priestly preparation could be both a blessing and a prophetic trap, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change your perspective on the events that will precede Christ's return. The first mystery we need to solve is, how, after 2 millennia without a temple, do identifiable Levites still exist in Israel? The answer is more fascinating than you imagine. Through a combination of meticulously preserved genealogical records, family traditions passed down through generations, and even modern genetic testing, Orthodox rabbis have identified thousands of men who can trace their lineage directly to the sons of Levi. What makes this even more impressive is that these families preserved not just their names, but also ritual knowledge that was secretly passed from father to son during centuries of exile. It's as if God preserved a priestly remnant through all the persecutions, dispersions, and attempts to eliminate Jewish identity. But preserved for what? The Temple Institute, an organization in Jerusalem dedicated to preparing everything necessary for the Third Temple, has been conducting extensive training for these identified Levites. They're not just studying theory, they're practicing complete rituals with exact replicas of the sacred instruments described in the Torah. Priests are learning to light the menorah, prepare the incense, arrange the showbread, and perform daily sacrifices as prescribed in Leviticus. But here arises a deep theological tension that many Christians aren't considering. If Christ is our eternal high priest, and his sacrifice on the cross was perfect and final, what does this return to animal sacrifices mean? Hebrews chapter 10 makes clear there's no more need for sin offerings because Christ offered himself once for all. So why would God allow or even command the return of these rituals? If you're beginning to see the prophetic complexity of this situation, leave a comment telling us what you think will happen when the Third Temple is built. This discussion is fundamental to our understanding of the end times. Malachi's prophecy offers a crucial clue. Malachi 3, verse 3 says that God will purify the sons of Levi and refine them like gold and silver. Then they will present offerings to the Lord in righteousness. This prophecy suggests that before the Levites can serve adequately, they need to go through a process of divine purification. Being technically prepared for temple service isn't the same as being spiritually purified for it. This raises an alarming question. What if the Levites being prepared today initially serve a false Messiah? 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 4, prophesies that the Antichrist will sit as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. For this to happen, there needs to be a functioning temple with active priests performing rituals that give religious legitimacy to the Antichrist's claims. History shows us that priests haven't always served God's purposes. During Jeroboam's kingdom, priests served the golden calves. During the Babylonian exile, some priests became corrupted with pagan practices. Even in Jesus' day, the high priest Caiaphas conspired against the true Messiah. Having Levitical lineage doesn't guarantee spiritual faithfulness. But there's another aspect of this priestly preparation we should consider. These Levites may be being prepared by God for a greater purpose than they themselves understand. Perhaps they'll serve initially in an imperfect way, but be purified during end times events to serve the true Messiah when he establishes his kingdom. The precision with which these rituals are being restored is remarkable. The priests are learning not just basic procedures, but also the most minute details. How to cut the sacrificial animals, how to sprinkle the blood, how to burn incense at the exact time, how to bless the people with precise words. It's like they're restoring a lost art with archaeological reverence and spiritual passion. The priestly garments have also been recreated based on biblical descriptions and archaeological discoveries. The high priest's breastplate, with its 12 precious stones representing Israel's tribes, has been reconstructed using authentic stones and ancient techniques. The ephod, the blue robe, the mitre with the golden plate inscribed, "Holy to the Lord," everything has been meticulously reproduced. But perhaps the most impressive aspect is these men's spiritual dedication. Many have abandoned lucrative careers to dedicate themselves entirely to this preparation. They fast, pray, study not just ritualistic techniques, but also strive to achieve the level of spiritual purity required for temple service. It's a dedication that goes far beyond academic or cultural interest. Before we continue, make sure you're subscribed, because we'll be tracking these developments as the third temple becomes an increasingly close reality. Events are accelerating. The timing question is crucial. The Levites are ready, the instruments are made, the garments are prepared, and the necessary knowledge has been recovered. What's missing is just the physical construction of the temple and political authorization to begin services. When these two conditions are met, sacrifices could literally begin the next day. This puts immense spiritual pressure on our generation. We're potentially witnessing the final preparation before the apocalyptic events described in Scripture. The same priests who might welcome the Antichrist could also be those who eventually serve Christ when he establishes his millennial kingdom. Ezekiel's prophecy about the millennial temple describes in detail the priestly services that will be performed during Christ's reign on earth. This suggests there will be continuity between the current preparation of Levites and their future service in the Messianic kingdom. But between now and then, they may go through trials that will deeply test their faithfulness. What makes this situation particularly complex is that the Levites themselves don't necessarily fully understand the prophetic role they're playing. For many of them, they're simply restoring ancestral traditions and fulfilling biblical commands. They may not realize they're preparing the stage for both the greatest deception and the greatest revelation in human history. The lesson for us is clear. Just as the Levites are preparing physically for temple service, we must prepare spiritually to discern the times. We need wisdom to distinguish between what is genuinely from God and what is a deceptive imitation. We need courage to remain faithful even when religious institutions may be corrupted. If you're gaining new insights about these prophetic preparations, drop a comment and let us know what signs you're watching for. The conversation extends far beyond this video. The calling of the Levites reminds us that God preserves his servants through all circumstances to fulfill his eternal purposes. But it also warns us that being in a position of religious service doesn't guarantee divine approval. The heart must be aligned with God's will, not just external actions. The complexity of this situation becomes even more apparent when we consider that the same temple system that could initially serve the Antichrist will eventually serve Christ himself during the millennium. This means the current preparations aren't inherently evil or good. They're tools that will be used according to the spiritual condition of those who wield them. The Levitical priests are ready. The question is, ready for what? Only time will reveal whether their current preparation will lead them to the glory of messianic service or to the trials of prophetic purification. But one thing is certain: their preparation is a sign that we're rapidly approaching the climax of human history, when all prophecies will be fulfilled and every knee will bow before the true King.